A very good morning to all of you. I welcome you all to session number 34 of our ICF Sunday webinar series. And if we include the Saturday sessions that we have done this year, then it is our 50th session overall. So we started with Murugraj when we had the first session on 10th of May 2020, and today for the 50th session also we have Murugraj Shanmugam, who will be telling us about MS Excel and how we can use it to be more efficient. So over to you, Murugraj.
Thank you, Vivek, and good morning, everyone. It's pleasure to be on scoring the first run and also scoring the partnership 50, and hoping that this series will run beyond 100 partnerships and 100 individual scores. It has the program itself has caught the imagination of many of our members, and I can see that many members of ICF are regulars for these sessions on Saturdays and Sundays. We have diversified the Saturday sessions with interviews and a travel series, and each of these sessions have created a kind of special place on the weekends for many of us editors in ICF. Thank you, Vivek, for this idea, and for ICF for the platform, and for all the fellow editors and writers of this platform to ensure that it's going on week. It's not an easy task to ensure that every week there are two members available. Exigencies and last minute cancellations or changes. So everything is so well handled, and we have been doing this for almost 8 months now without any break. A great achievement, and kudos to all of you, ICF, and especially Vivek. So this session is about Excel, and if you have attended earlier sessions, you know that the sessions are not going to be theoretical. We are not going to take up one topic and the other and then explain the various formulas or various features of Excel. So what I'm going to do is take up an Excel. I'm going to construct a table, a planner, okay, as I would call it. I'm going to construct a planner. So let's measure some performance and also create an invoice. Okay, so these three things we are going to do. How do you think a typical planner for an editor or a writer would look like? We normally say, in our office, we normally say we are married to Excel. Okay, that marriage life between Excel and us, Excel and the individual, is not going to be sweet unless the person falls in love with Excel. The same philosophy as it holds for a family life also, right? Unless you fall in love with your, anyone, you can't have a peaceful life. So that holds true for Excel also. Okay, my love with Excel was 2009 2009 April. I was given the responsibility to set up a language editing team for a company. So I started with I was the only person to start, and then there was another person. So for the entire month we edited 700 pages. Okay, so it was a very easy thing to track it. We know everything by heart. We know how many articles are due tomorrow, maybe 2 or 3. So we know the numbers, we know the pages, everything is known to us because the numbers are very small. We crunched them here. Okay, but as the team grew, as the workload increased, at some point of time, maybe around 6 or 9 months later, I realized that I'm spending around 2.5 hours on Excel every day. What do? I take numbers from one Excel sheet and copy that to another Excel sheet, which I have been doing for 2 hours or 3 hours a day tirelessly. At some point of time, I grew tired, and then I realized, why am I doing this? There should be an easier way to do this. In fact, what I love about Excel is this exact question. Whenever you think there should be some easier way to do this, the folks at MS Office, who worked on MS Excel, they already perceived this question and found a solution, not in one way, possibly in more than one ways, and then they are ready for you. All you have to do is simply look for that right question and then find the answer. So finding the right answer is also is an art. Now, a couple of weeks ago, one of my editing colleagues asked me, and she found the taskbar at the Word in Word missing. She was not able to bring it to life. So she tried a few things and then she pinged me how to bring it back. I don't normally give answers straight away. I told her to go Google and then find it out. And she said, I tried a few things, but I couldn't do that. So I told her, now try how to enable or disable taskbar. So the moment the keyword taskbar was used, she was able to immediately fix the problem. Now because the terminology was not known, she was trying out various other things. Okay, but once that right terminology was used, Google gave the right answers, because the answers are available on the on internet. Anybody can find it, provided we ask the right questions. So one such moment was as I tried to build an Excel planning and productivity tracking mechanism for my team. So one thing that almost similar to this situation was this. Okay, let's say I have the number of pages, random number. I'm trying to make some comparisons. Let's say I am making a comparison between light, standard, and then substantive editing. Okay, so light editing gives you, let's say, 1 rupee per page. Standard editing gives you 2 rupees per page, and substantive editing gives you 5 rupee per page. I wanted to find how these total values will be. What will be the value of each of these three things? So I know that I can go to these cells and then multiply these numbers. Oops. I can multiply these two numbers, the number of pages, by the cost. I also know there is a shortcut. You can copy paste formulas. You simply copy paste cell. Everything will be copied. The format, the formula, all these things will be copied. So when I copied it, it did not give a value that is 237 into 2. It says, oh, okay, it is word, it is page. So let's make it 100. Okay. Even though it is hypothetical, the number should be kind of realistic. Okay. So 23,700, and then it should be 23,700 into 200, but it doesn't show up the right number. It says 0. So there is some problem. So I hit F2, or you double click on the cell, as you mostly know. I'm going to assume that the very basic things, some of things that are many of the things that I say might be redundant to you. So please forgive me if it is. Okay. So I hit F2. I get this formula Q6 and T6. I realize, okay, there is a problem here. So I move the cell. Yeah, it's fixed now. I can press Ctrl D to copy the value that is above, down, to copy down. So D for down. Again, the problem. So I hit F2. I realize that once again. Okay, I realize, so every time I move a cell down by one cell, the formulas are also moved relatively. Okay, but that is not what we want, right? We want the cells to move on these three columns, these T5, 6, and 7, T5, T6, and T7. We want these three to move, but then the one on Q5, which is 237, should not move, right? So that's a question. That was probably my first Excel question. So I tried to figure out what it is. So I asked a few friends around to figure out a solution, and then after some searching, I realized the right word that I should ask is absolute referencing and relative referencing. So when I say relative reference, what do I mean? So here is a formula I have created by multiplying Q5 and T5. I wanted to copy this cell and paste it, let's say somewhere here. Okay, so I copy this, Control C, I paste it here. So now I am in X11. What is the relationship against the original V5? I have come down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells downward and then moved 2 cells rightward. So 5 down, 2 right. You can see that the formulas, the original references have also moved down by 5 cells and moved rightwards by 2 cells. Divya, please.
Yeah, Murukraj, somebody told that resolution is not clear. Can you please increase the size?
Okay, I'm trying to.
Obviously, cell size will not increase.
Okay, you want to increase the size of the cells.
Yes, because somebody mentioned that shared screen is not sharp enough. So maybe resolution problem at their end or our end.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is better. Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing that to my notice. I hope this is clear now.
Yes, it is very clear now.
It is clear.
Thank you. So we can see that originally when we were looking at V5, so it is Q5 and T5. As I moved to X11, I have moved down by 6 cells and moved right by 2 cells. The original references V5 and T5 have also moved down by 5 cells and moved right by 2 cells. So this is what we call relative referencing. Okay. I realize that I want one of these data points to be relative and the other one to be absolute. So how to do that? That's a question. So I realize the answer is very simple. Okay. Whichever is needs to be fixed, you can indicate that by including dollar signs before. So Q and 5. So Q is a column indicator and 1, 2, 3, 4 the row indicator. We all know that Q5 indicates the Qth column and then 5th row. So I have included $2 symbols before the row indicator and the column indicator to make it specific. It doesn't move. Wherever you copy and paste the cells, it will not move. You can see now that when I copy this formula, and paste it, the formulas have rightly referred to the same thing. If you hit F2 here, we can see that 237 is referred and then the standard rate is 200. Same way, when we hit F2 on V7, we get 237 into 500. So that is probably my first quest with respect to Excel. And from then on, in the next few months, I've developed a system to track everything in terms of planning and everything in terms of productivity. So at some point of time, the team size was around 80 or 85, but then the planners, the productivity sheets that I created and then try to integrate. Okay, so that helped track everything. Okay, so that is a long story of how I fell in love with Excel, and from then on, I learned Excel VBA for a while because I need to automate a few things in the productivity sheet and other things. So the time that I spent has drastically come down, and in fact, we were not spending any time at all in terms of collating, organizing data and retrieving data because everything was automated. So the time that we spent was on collating data on the planner. The actual planning is the one thing that we will do, but I think nowadays software is capable of even planning. So it does everything and then it can even plan for you, but that's a different story.
May I ask a question here?
Yes, Chakrapani, please.
See, now you put a dollar sign before the column, right?
Yes.
Now that is because with you're referring to Q5. Now,
Yes.
what if I don't have a reference number, but I want a value instead of a cell reference? For example, in our costing sheet, you might have seen.
Yes.
I just want to take a number instead of a cell reference,
Mhm.
and I want to apply the same rule.
So we can go with the absolute values in each of these formulas independently. My preference would always be introduce that as a parameter and then use the reference value so that there can be changes at later point of time. This 237 can become 500 later.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, we are going to do something. Initially I thought that I'll create a table and then come with a table and then explain everything. But then I thought, so this is about exploring Excel, having a glimpse of what Excel can offer for us. So I thought it would be a fun, idea to construct the planner table for us, and then retrieve two perspectives. The productivity and then the billing. So those two things. So we are going to quickly create a planner. So the most important thing is that the journey is going to be the most interesting part. We are going to assume nothing, and then probably few things I'll explain as we come across. And before I do that, and as Chakrapani asked that question, I wanted to answer that. Okay, so we have added a dollar before Q and a dollar before 5, right? Okay, this is a two-way absolute referencing. I'm just coining the term. I don't know whether it exists, which means the column and the row are both fixed. You can have flexibility. You do have flexibility. You can actually keep one of them stable and then the other one movable. So for example, what I have done here is I have kept Q as the column as a stable one, but the row as a movable one. You can see that there is no dollar sign before 5. So what happens is when I have 600 here, okay, so let's say I have this 500 rupees, 600 pages and so on. So I wanted to create a formula that will multiply the actual value by the number of pages. So 5,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees. All right. So if I wanted to copy that and go to the right, because I wanted to multiply that by 600 by 100, it doesn't work. So I want to move along the row, but not along the column. Okay. So the column is going to be fixed. What is the column here? T. So that is fixed, but not the row. Okay. So now we can see that it is multiplying 200 by 5,000. So we want to keep the row here, column fixed, but not the row. So I'll take this. Okay. You can see that we have created a combination of fixing a column and fixing the row so that expected values are received. Okay, there is actually an easy way to do this. There is a shortcut to introduce this absolute referencing value on any cell. You just press F2 and then select the ones that you wanted to make it absolute. Press F4. Okay, it will create absolute reference on both row and the column. Hit F4 again, it will toggle. So it's a four-way toggle between absolute reference and completely relative. Okay, so the button that we use is F4. Okay, so with that digression, let's go back to the planner. So I wanted to create a planner, serial number 1. So I need to have some author names, ISBN numbers, the level of editing, word count, total pages, in date, due date, send date, and finally the editor who worked on the project, and then the remarks. Okay, so serial numbers, nothing much to do. So let's say 1, 2, 3, we will fill it up later. We need to create some author names. So let's say, give me some names. Okay, so let's say we have.
You want a name?
Yeah, give me some names.
Ruskin Bond.
Yeah, pa. Okay.
Siddharth Mukherjee.
Let's keep it simple names. Siddharth.
Simple names. Okay.
Okay. The first names. let's
Vinay
go with
Mishra.
first names.
Huh? V. Mishra.
Mishra.
Is that okay?
Maybe 2 more names.
Vikram Seth. Vikram Seth.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see. Shashi Tharoor. To college with me.
Just one more name.
Shashi Tharoor.
Okay. I've
You want one more?
Yeah.
Enough?
Yeah. I think it's
Enough?
It's enough now. Okay. So let's say that
Okay.
Yes, chapter has around. Book has around 12 chapters, and Ruskin Bonds has around 30 chapters. Siddharth has 25 chapters, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to just create some random numbers for these chapters. Okay, so instead of some random numbers, I can use Excel to create random numbers. So there is a formula that says rand. So it creates a number between 0 and 1, but these numbers are actual integers, right? Let me multiply that by, let's say, 10. 3.5.
No. Try 100. 100 is better.
Whatever number you multiply, there will be decimals. That's the beauty of random numbers. So what
Okay.
what we can do is, let's say we go with the integer part of this number. If you select all these cells and Control D, press Control D, it has generated some random numbers. So we can see that some of these are starts with 0. So we can multiply them with 100. So okay, so the integer part is, what I have done is used rand function. Okay, used a rand function to create some random numbers. So the beauty is that every time the Excel is refreshed, you would have noticed that whenever I hit enter, you may not have seen me hitting enter, but you would have perceived it. So whenever we hit enter, these random numbers generate, they refresh automatically. So I just wanted to fix it. I've created a number of chapters here, but I don't want this to change. So what I'm going to do is copy this and paste it with some special. So paste special with values. Okay, so you can see that these numbers have. So what I have done is copied it and pasted with a special format. Pasted it special. Okay, so I'll explain that maybe a bit. On any cell, if you simply want to copy and then paste it, as I told you everybody, the new cell, the pasted value, will acquire or inherit all the properties, characteristics, formula, formatting, everything from the original cell. So in this case, the one that we selected is U9, having the value 37. You can quickly see the name of the cell, W9. It's not okay. The cursor is in W9. So you can see the place where the cursor is here. So I have created a random number between, the random number is always between 0 and 1. So I wanted to make it a 2-digit number. So I multiplied that by 100. Because every time I hit enter, it will automatically refresh. I want an absolute number. So what I did is copied that and pasted it with values. Okay. So when you copy and on any cell that you want to paste the value, right click. Once you right click, you get paste special. Paste special offers you a lot of possibilities. You can paste only the formulas or values or formats or comments, validation. A lot many opportunities are, choices are available for you to paste a particular cell into another cell. So when you say the default is all. So when you copy and paste, everything mentioned here will be pasted. So right now what I'm interested is not anything else but the absolute values. Therefore what I do is, okay, so right now it is a random number and I have used the formula here integer of t8, okay, but if I copy and paste it on the same cell again, okay, so what I do is paste only the values I have created, absolute values. So even though these values change, the random numbers change, the address number is not going to change. Okay, so these numbers are a bit too much, so I'm going to simply make it some numbers.
Welcome to the Amazon Fulfillment Center tour, where really.
Okay, so I'm going to use these numbers. Where is it? Okay, I'm going to use these values in my banner. So I have to, let me use a different sheet. So I have to use 18 chapters for Surya. Surya. Instead of serial numbers, we can, alongside the serial numbers, we can also include another column called chapter number. So the ISBN values, we know that ISBN values are 10 or 13 digit numbers. So we can create random ISBN values again. Okay. So how can we do here? And any guess? Into? I need 10 digits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can copy this. We can club all these formulas in one cell, in fact. So I also realized that most of these ISBNs in the English language start with 978. So these numbers do not really look like what ISBN numbers, right? ISBNs. So I wanted to have a number that looks like ISBN. So let me say it will be something like 978 followed by these numbers. So how can I create random ISBN numbers that start with 978? I need 10 digits. Okay, so first I create a random number, multiply that by 8 digits with 7 zeros. What is that number? 10 lakh. And then add 978 as a prefix. Isn't it right? So generate random number, multiply that by 7 digits, okay, prefix it with 978. Let's try to complete all these three things in a single shot.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, here on my screen, I can see only 1 and Surya. Are you doing some other calculations as well right now? I cannot see anything else apart from that in the spreadsheet. 1 and Surya.
Okay, so
I'm not sure about others. Maybe it's some problem at my end.
So are you looking at some instructions on 9, 10 and 11?
No,
It is the same here.
No, only 1 and Surya. I can also see only 1 and Surya.
Okay, so let me stop sharing and reshare it again.
Yeah, same here also.
Okay. Do you see it differently now?
yes, it is. We can see.
It is
Yes,
different.
it has lots of information now. A, B, C, D, with nothing in D. And then 9, 11 also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for alerting me.
Yeah, Murugaraj, probably the resolution, screen resolution has to improve a bit. I'm not able to. I mean, it's okay. I'm able to see the data, but it's kind of a little blurred.
Okay, probably it's because there is some problem with connectivity. Or are any of you seeing the message that Murugaraj's connectivity is poor or something like that?
No,
No, it's clear at my end.
Okay,
it's
so
fine here also.
Yeah,
probably it's a connectivity issue. Okay, thank you. So what we do, we generate a random number, multiply that by 1 followed by 7 digits of 0 and prefix it with 978. We are going to use something called a concatenate, or bringing two things together. So we can achieve concatenation by two things by using the phrase CONCT, something that my favorite is always using an ampersand symbol. Okay, so we are going to connect. Let's first create this 7-digit random number. 1. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits. I don't want to have the decimal part. So I'm going to combine the integer value here itself. Integer of random number. So you only see the integer part. Okay, so we call this nested formulas within formulas. Instead of having one step in every single or a different cell, we can combine all of them into one single cell by properly nesting them. So in nesting, what is most important is to have the right balancing of the opening parenthesis and the closing parenthesis. Okay, so now we have some numbers, and I want to create a number that begins with 978. So I'm going to say this as a formula, 978. You notice that I have enclosed that within double quotes and use a symbol called ampersand and then this cell. So it has beautifully created an ISBN that starts with 978. How many digits are there? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. If some of these cells might be of lesser number of decimals, so we can prefix that with multiplication.
1, 2, 3.
No, with zeros.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You can see that on the E6 we have only 6 digits instead of 7 digits. How we can achieve this? We can format it without a physical number, but even if you format, I'll show you how. So you can go to numbers, okay, custom. Instead of this general, you specify the number of digits that you want in your number. So 7 digits for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits. You can see that there is a 0 automatically appearing here. Okay, so formatting helps in a lot many ways. For example, if you are a manager and your company, I mean every company has roll numbers for employees, right? So that starts with 1 and then probably can go on up to 10,000. What if I need a uniform 10-digit number, or 6-digit number for all employees, or 5-digit number for all employees? All I have to do is select all these numbers and then format in a custom format, use 5 zeros in the digits, as I have done here. Here I have used a 7 zeros here because I need a 7-digit number here. Okay, so this formatting is applicable for many other things. We are going to look at formatting of dates in a while. So right now, so with these 7-digit numbers formed, you can concatenate 978, or you can prefix with 978 in each of these cases and then copy paste it. And I am afraid this is not going to work here because the 0 is only for visual indicator. It is not a physical 0. So I guess F6 will still be 9 digits. Okay, so it automatically randomly generated. Once again, refreshed. As you can see, every time we do something, it will automatically get refreshed. But you can see our purpose is solved here. We have created a random ISBN of 10-digit numbers for all these books, 978, and then there are 7 digits. So what should I do now? Most importantly, because I don't want this value to change anymore. So what should I do now? That's interesting. I have created a random number that changes every time I do anything,
Maybe fix them with a dollar sign.
No, it's not about moving cells. It is about fixing the value. It is not about refreshing the value. I have to fix the value. So what should I do?
I just read someone said
Paste
fix
special?
paste special. Yeah,
Yes.
Paste special.
values only.
That's right. So I copy it and then paste it as a value. Okay. So it indicates there is some problem. You can see that these green triangles on the top left with some warning symbol here is an indication that something is wrong here. What would have gone wrong is the Excel's. In fact, Excel is smart enough to identify that we have filled in these cells with numbers, but it is identified as a general thing. Can you see my cursor here? On the formatting area, instead of numbers, it shows as general.
Yes.
Yeah, it's because Excel sees that all the things that you have entered in these cells are numbers, but you unnecessarily formatted as general. So the Excel will alert you. See, number stored as text. You convert to number, or you can ignore this. I know these are all numbers, so I can choose to convert to number, and you can see that the general, here will change to numbers once I click it, along with another unnecessary problem possibly. So I convert all this to number. Okay, so the digit doesn't appear. I expected it to have a 2-digit decimal after that. So we have created numbers. We can format all these as numbers. Okay. So the decimal places is 2. That's why I said there will be 2 decimals by default. You can change it, and then you can change the decimals from here. You can increase or decrease decimals. Okay. You can increase the decimals or decrease the decimals. But everything is available in the extended pop-up menu dialog box. Okay. So what we have done? I'll share screen so that way it could be easy. Now, do you see the intended planner here? We have created the author names. We have created ISBNs. We can supply levels. Okay, so we can say level. Let's say light, standard. So let me delete these cells. These columns, because they are unnecessary now. Now that we have created the chapters and the ISBNs. So it can be light, standard, light, substantive, and then standard. Excel autofills many things. You would have noticed it already, and you would be using it possibly. Okay, so that is over. Now our next task is to create chapter numbers, which you have done. Word counts, we can create random numbers, right? Again, we can create word count using rand function. We can convert that into total pages by dividing by 240. Then supply some end date, due date, and send date. So I'm going to quickly do all these things. So Surya, 18 chapters, right? So I can see that 18 chapters of Surya here. And then it should be here. many chapters? 12 chapters. Okay, I'm using Control D to copy values from the topmost cell. And then Siddharth, 32 chapters. Okay. And then Binay, 8 chapters. Okay, just 9 chapters. And then Mishra, 7 chapters. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can select 7 cells, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then type in Mishra and control enter. Instead of enter, you press control enter. The same value will be applicable in all cells. And then you write Seth, 19 chapters. So I repeat the technique. 79 plus 19 would be 98. Okay. What would be the name? Seth, S-E-T-H. Control enter. It will take all the cells as Seth. Tharoor is 63. So I'll start with 98, 99, 100, and then 160. So I'll go to 160. Yeah. So I have filled in the names. We need to write down ISBN against each of these number. So the initial Murugaraj way would be to copy and paste it all the way here. But Excel has a wonderful formula to achieve this, which we call VLOOKUP. V for vertical. Okay. So VLOOKUP. What is the value that we wanted to look up? We wanted to look up the value Surya. And then in this table, where my data is already available, the fourth column is the value that I wanted to fetch. So VLOOKUP is a formula that will fetch values from another table to this table. So here is a base table that contains the name of the author, number of chapters, level of editing, and then the ISBN number. So now I have the name of the author. I can fetch the corresponding ISBN number. I keep using ISBN number. I think N is already number. It's like ECR road in Chennai, where ECR stands for East Coast Road. Okay. So I wanted to fetch the ISBN to this new table by locating a value called Surya. Okay. So I have fixed the value that I'm going to look up, and then in which table I'm going to look up this value, the original table, and then how many columns away from this Surya, how many columns is this ISBN away. So we have to start with the reference column as 1. So Surya column becomes 1, and the number of chapters 2, level of editing 3, and then D. So A, B, C, D. Fourth column has my preferred data, or my needed data rather. Finally, we go with an false. I'll explain what false refers to in a moment. So what I have done, I have used the VLOOKUP formula and then used B2. B2 is a place where Surya, the name Surya is written. And in this table, so here is a table, book 4. Book 4 is the name of this document. This is a table that I have used. So this is a table that I have referred with the references, the fourth column. Okay. So you can see that the value is used. Okay. So B2, let me hit F2 and explain this. So B2 is the name Surya, and then book 4 is the other book where all my basic data are kept, from where I am retrieving the data, and the ISBN is the fourth column from the reference cell, not in the overall table, from the reference cell. Surya is a reference cell. Okay, so let me do one thing else. something else. Okay, so I introduce another column here, serial number 1, 2. I'll autofill this. Okay. So what is an how many columns is the ISBN away from Surya now?
5.
No. From Surya, it is
It's in the 5th column. It's 4 columns away.
from Surya, it is still 4 columns. We normally look from the first column. It is not necessary to refer from the first column. In fact, when you use VLOOKUP, you have to take the reference column as the first column. For us, the name is a reference point. Surya, Ruskin Bond, Siddharth, and so on. So that's the reference point. That would be the first column. So from there on, it is a 4th column. So you can go for, instead of B1, you can go for A1. It is not available because we are wrongly using the reference value. Okay, so it would be, once again, so B2 is a value that I'm going to look up in the table Surya to ISBN numbers, and then the number of columns, the ISBN will be 4 columns away from Surya column. So 4, and then false. Okay, what happened? Oh, I haven't used VLOOKUP at all. VLOOKUP. This one in this table, 4th column from Surya name and match. So okay. Now I'm going to copy this formula all the way down to all these chapters. I can do this by pressing Control Shift and then downward arrow, Control Shift and down arrow. That will take me to the end of the column. So I wanted to quickly go to the last value in this column. So I press Control down arrow. That will take me to the last value here. Okay, move up and then I'm using Control D. When you use Control D every time, the topmost value will be copied all the bottom cells that I have selected. Okay. Now you can see that this 374 ending is ISBN for Ruskin Bond. We can validate that. So that's a number that's not 374. You can also see that for Seth it is 77407. 77407. It doesn't go wrong, but just to validate. So can we use the same VLOOK formula to identify the level for these books? Can we?
The cell number has to be changed, I think.
Yeah. So what we can use, we can still use the same vertical lookup, right? VLOOKUP. All we need to do is find the level of editing against the name of this author. Isn't it?
Yes.
So level, again another VLOOKUP formula. I'm going to see, now we have 2 values to look up to start as a reference point. One is name of the author and the other one is ISBN, isn't it? So we have the name of the author against which we can find the level of editing, or the ISBN against which we can find the level of editing. But unfortunately, VLOOKUP will not let you refer from the right. You cannot see from the right to the left. You can always go from left to the right. So there is another combination called index and match. We can achieve the same thing from right also. But right now, let's not get into that kind of complication. So VLOOKUP and match are 3 wonderful things to fetch information from different parts. VLOOKUP, index, match. Sometimes you can use a combination of these 3 to achieve whatever we want. For example, I have only the ISBN with me, and I wanted to find the name of the author. Right now, it is not possible with VLOOKUP because the reference value, the ISBN, is on the right, the values that we are looking up is on the left of the ISBN value. So VLOOKUP is not useful in this case, but we can go with the index and match combination to achieve the same value. But as I said earlier, it's a bit advanced, so let's not go there. Right now, let's find values to the right of our reference value. So even though we have two values, Surya, the author name and ISBN with us, we cannot still use ISBN to fetch data from the table that we have. So we will still use the same author name. We look up author name. And then the fourth column, no, it's not the fourth column. It is a third column, right? The level of editing is in the third column from the author name. And range lookup is false. Okay, so instead of going to the last cell and then moving away and then making it, Excel offers another fantastic feature which I'm going to introduce right away, because it will ease up a lot of things in moving around. Okay, so we can convert this entire area, okay, into a table, Excel table. I'm just zooming out or in just to show you how it works. See, what I have done is I kept my cursor in any of the tables and or in any of the place where there is a value, an author name or level. And what I do is I press Control A. What do you expect when I press Control A in a Word document? What do you expect? All things in the Word document will get selected, isn't it? That's what we have seen. Excel, there are two ways Excel will perform this role. If you keep the cursor in in a cell where something is already input and then press Control A, it will select what is called a region, not the entire sheet. We might try to take a parallel from MS Word and expect that Excel will cover the entire sheet when I press Control A. No, it doesn't. It identifies the region associated with this value and selects only that. As you can see, I have kept my cursor on B17. You can see it from here, B17, and I am pressing Control A. It has intuitively identified a range based on the values that we have used. Isn't it wonderful, right? It hasn't selected the entire area. It has selected only the area where we have input values. See? So we can convert this into a table now. Excel's one of greatest features of Excel is an Excel table. So how do we do? We can insert a table by converting this into a table. The shortcut key will be Control L. It also identifies that there are headers. So by default, it is checked.
What is the shortcut key?
Control L.
Oh.
Okay. You can insert a table here from the insert menu. Okay. From the home menu, you can use format as table. You can achieve the same thing. I'm going undoing things, and then see I'm keeping it in a cell here, in a blank cell here, and I press Control A. You notice that the entire sheet is selected now. Earlier. So I go back to one of these places, Control A, and go to Format as Table and select the kind of table that I want. Okay, when you hit Control L, the default will be applied. Okay, so Control L. Where is the data for your table? It is already selected. I am happy with the selection. So I'm not making any changes. If there are any changes, you can just click on that arrow button, select the area. Okay, you can see that the selection changes, and then use and say OK to convert that into a table. But right now my selection is perfect, so I'm go ahead with the Excel's recommendation. So you can see that things have changed. I'm just maximizing it again. So right now, I'm going to use VLOOKUP formula, Surya, third column. You can choose any number of columns even to the right, but the reference would only be the third column. What is the one difference that you notice now?
Instead of B1, it's taking the column header, I think.
Yes. Excel's autofill, you can see the autofill symbol, auto correction. So it has filled the entire column with the formula that I applied in one place, assuming that the tables are going to be homogeneous in nature and these values are the formula I'm expecting is going to be applied across the entire column. Okay, so you can create chapter number now. Once again, I want these chapter numbers to be kind of ordered. I'm going to use concatenation. If I want to concatenate, what are the things that I use here? You can simply say 1, 2, 3. Okay. But you can say chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Let's say my preference is to have chapter 1, chapter 2, and so on. Okay, you can achieve that by two different things. I have selected chapter 1 and chapter 2. And hold your cursor to the bottom right so that a plus symbol, can you see the plus symbol? It's a hollow plus right now, but when I go to this place, it becomes a solid plus indicating a change in function. Now hold it on a laptop, double click and then drag it. Beautiful, right? So all you have to do is, I repeat, I have given the first two values to give Excel an indication of the logic. First, second, and so on. Let me delete this because this is misleading. So I select the two cells where I given the logic, move the cursor to the bottom right where the cursor symbol changes from a hollow plus symbol to a solid plus symbol. Double click on your laptop or hold your control and then drag it down using mouse. So it fills in everything. Same is the case with. So the next one is going to be how many? Ruskin bond is going to be. So we will just paste it.
12.
So we'll delete whatever is not needed. Okay. Chapter 1, chapter 2. I will drag it. One moment. So we are creating chapters. I think this is the last one. Karu has written a lot of chapters. Okay. So I wanted to give some page number, word count for each of these chapters. How can we do that?
Divide by, no.
We need some number, random number, right, as word count. Let's say all of these chapters are, the word count of all of these chapters is less than 1000.
Yes.
And say rand in, let's say 3000. So minimum pages will be 3000 words. Maximum is 9999. You can say 10,000 safe. So this is another way to create random numbers of specific digits. Earlier I told you how to generate numbers by multiplying and taking the decimal value. So right now, generated random between. So a random function will generate numbers only between 0 and 1 decimals. So this rand between will generate numbers that we specify. Okay. So we have created random numbers. What is the most important thing that we should do now?
Paste special.
Paste.
Yeah, paste it as a special.
Paste special.
Transpose. Oh, I'm sorry, not transpose. Sorry. Paste it as
Value.
yes. Oops. Yes. Now I have to convert this into total pages, which you do by
Dividing by 250.
word count by 240.
240.
So you can see that many of these comes with come with decimals. Either you can go with 2-digit decimals as is a standard, or you can go with go without any decimals by formatting it appropriately. We have already seen how to reduce the number of
Decimals.
So we have
Yes.
remember
In number.
these decimals. Remember these decimals are there. Okay. Only that Excel doesn't show you that as a decimal. For example, you have to understand the most important difference. Let's say there is a 2.33 and then there is a 3.1. You can reduce the decimals to show that as 2 and 3. Okay. And you can add these two numbers to say 5. Okay. What actually happened is when you go with this expand the decimals here, you can see that it is 5.43, not just 5. So what does it mean? It means that these decimals are kept for all calculations, but only the presentation is different from what it is. It will show up the nearest integer. Okay, you can see that 3.1. If it is 3.6, it will be 4. But the sum is not 6, it is 5.93 because it actually adds up the decimals. This is one important distinction that you should remember. Okay, so you have to come with in dates, due dates, and send dates. So these are all values that you can fill in. Okay, for example, today's date is 100. I'm going to make it quickly. So every date, every time, everything is a number for Excel. The dates are also numbers. You can see that 44,192 indicates today. If you say 44,193, it is tomorrow. Okay, you can format it differently to see that it is actually a date. See, even the time 12:05, when you convert that into a number, it is 0.50. Okay, so the most important thing here is you can convert all of these into numbers. Okay, so it is, what is a number here? When you convert that into a number, so it is 44192, right? Okay, so I'm going to just generate some random numbers between 44192. Let's say 3 months ago, 43850. Oh, 43850 to today. Okay. 44192. What is it called? And between. Okay. Okay. If you want to, you can see that we have created random numbers for all these cases, but logically it may be different for different. So,
Oh no.
okay, so it is 14928. Okay, we can generate dates like this. So for our easy purposes, let us say each of these came on the first day of the month. First May, first June, we can simply do this by indates here. First May, first June. You can notice that I am simply typing 1 JUN, but it automatically takes that as June with this year as the current year as the year here. So first July, first August, first September, first October, first November. Okay, our due dates are 15 days away from this. So let me add 15 days from these cases. You can see that it automatically, I'm simply adding a number 15 here, but it automatically converts that into 15 days away from that and then converts that into a date. Isn't it? So this is the next beautiful thing that we are going to do. So we are going to fill in VLOOKUP for in dates and due dates. So VLOOKUP Surya chapter and book by Surya. The table is here. F is the in date, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. VLOOKUP Surya in this table. 5 columns away. Similarly, due date is going to be, I'm going to simply copy this, okay, but instead of 5, I'm going to say 6. That's a due date. You fill in due date. Okay, send date can be anything from this number to this number. So I'm going to simply say send date is a random number between the actual in date, because you cannot have a send date before the in date. So that is going to be the bottom value. Top value can be anywhere. See, there can be delays, right? So that naturally can be delays. So I don't want to assume that every day, every delivery is met. In an ideal world, that would be the fantastic thing. Most of the times it might happen, but practically there may be delays. So to factor that in, let me say the top range is going to be 2 days from the due date. So I'm assuming that none of these chapters are delivered with a delay beyond 2 days. Okay, so let me format. I don't like this, formatting with the number, month, and the year format, because I assume that year is very obvious, and instead of 11, I am very comfortable saying November. Okay, so I'm going to format that. Date. These are all some custom formats, ready-made formats that are available for you. I'm going to simply use one of these things, but because I have used the English as a locale, the one that I'm looking for is not available. So I'm going to go here, custom, and then say instead of date, month, year. So I'm going to simply say DD-MMM, which means 2-digit dates and 3-digit months. Okay. So you can see that I have converted that into 2-digit date and 3-digit months. Okay. So this is now if I also wanted to see if I can find if there are any delays in terms of deliveries. So I wanted to highlight all the cells or all the chapters, all the cells when there is a delay. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to use conditional formatting, highlight cells if greater than this value. Okay, so it is none. let me use a formula to do that. Conditional formatting, elite cells, more rules, use a formula. What is the formula? The due date, the difference between the send date and due date should not be positive. Okay, so formula where this one minus this one is greater than 0. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Let me say this is 17 May. Okay, so conditional format, new rule, clear rules. Let me clear all the selected rule and then conditional format, highlight, put a new rule. I can use any of these existing options or use a formula to determine which one. So the format is where this minus is greater than 0. Format it with a fill. Fill. Okay, I'm not sure why it is not working as expected. J2 minus okay, I'll come back to it later. I'm sorry. Something it is working. Okay, I can select all these cells and then double click here so that the cells are auto adjusted and I can see only these things. Okay, so this way the entire table is seen here. I haven't filled in serial numbers, so I'm going to use, I can already, as I already told you, so you can use these 1, 2, 3 to fill in. You can say 1, 1, 2, and then fill in. But the problem is when you order these values, okay, if you want to sort all these based on send date, okay, you can see that the serial number is also changed. I don't want this to happen. So what I do is instead of using the numbers, I'm going to using a formula that refers to the row number minus, I have used one row above for heading. So I'm saying 1. Okay. So what happens? You can see what is happening there by going to the formula tab and then seeing what is happening there. Go to formulas. Okay. Keep your cursor here. Go to formulas and then say evaluate formula. Okay. Keep evaluating. You can see that when you say row 2, okay, so this is a row function, right? This is a row function. It returns the number of the row. Here in this case it is 2 minus 1 is 1. So what I'm doing is because there is one row that I haven't used, that I have used for heading. So I'm simply using the row function minus 1. Had there been another row, you can see that it is 2. So in order to account for that, I can say 2 and it changes. So what happens, even if I change anything here by due date, okay, let me go by send date. It is still not changing because it is simply the formula, not an absolute value anymore. Finally, so this is going to be by last of this day. So I'm going to use this editor name. Okay, so let's say I have 10 editors I have 10 editors whose names are Sachin, Dhoni, Bhutia, Messi, Anand, Sindhu, Mary, Punia, and Saina. Okay, just can you give me 1 minute? So these are the 10 editors in my team. Okay, pa. So 10 editors in my team. I think I thought I muted and then said okay here. Probably you may heard it. Okay. So I'm going to simply assign these 10 names to the planner. I'm assuming that I'm going by the same thing. Okay. So, but this is again another painful task because I keep on going to the last item, pasting and again. But there is a wonderful thing that you can do. Okay. Have you ever, I mean, we have already seen when I entered 1, 2 and then selected the rows below, cells below by dragging the plus symbol, you notice that the numbers were periodically added. Or you can use a similar strategy to indicate months, Jan, Feb, and so on. Okay, so it captures all the numbers. So this is a custom list. Excel calls this a custom list. Custom list are very lists that you very often use. Okay, same is the case with Monday, Tuesday. I mean weekdays. Monday, Tuesday. You select it and then drag it. You will see the names are these values are repeated cyclically. Okay. So can we do this or replicate this idea to our editors? Because later we are going to generate reports. So I don't want to type in 15 members of my team or 20 members of my team every single time. So what I can do is I can create a list and then use it repeatedly. So how to do that? I go to files, options, and then advanced, go to list. There is something called custom list somewhere here. Yeah, edit custom list. Under general, there is something called edit custom list. I'm going to use the cells where these names are available, which is sheet 4. Okay. And then I say import. These numbers are imported now. And I say okay here. Okay here. So when I write down the first two names, Sachin, if it is only one name, it may not. Okay, it actually gets. Can you see that? I have beautiful custom list of my editors. I don't have to repeat this every time, repeat typing or copying paste it from somewhere else. All you have to do is keep periodic cleaning up of your team members. So you can use it. So what I'm going to do is to use this option, Sachin, first name, and then instead of dragging, I'm going to use Control double tap, so that will go to the end of this cell table. So what have I done? Created a complete planner dates. So some of these could be, okay, I have to modify that because I have removed the row. So the thing is, we have created this table from scratch, applying various functionalities available in Excel. But frankly, you get data. You don't have to generate anything randomly. So I'm going to show two ways of adding data. most of the times, project manager sends you or your publisher sends you the list in more or less structured manner. So probably that will look like this. Okay, a table. So let me use this. Okay, so this is the value that I have. It comes as a table. Okay, so all you have to do is simply copy this and then paste it into your Excel sheet. But sometimes you don't get that as a table. So let's say, for example, your project manager simply sent this without any table format. You cannot copy this and paste it in your cell because it's not clean. So you can clean that up by I'm copying this. I notice that all of these values are pasted in only one cell. I can use data to convert this into different columns because there is a pattern. There is a number and then the chapter number and then the pages and then the date of due date. So I press text to columns. I'm going to go with the fixed limit or delimited. I know they are limited by commas. So I'm going to say delimited by commas. Okay, comma, not others. So you can see that it has already identified the divisions correctly. All you have to do is give finish. So that one value is converted or carried to 4 different columns. So I just copy it here. Another beauty is that the moment you copy 6 cells, you would have noticed that we are at the end of the table. Okay, and just copy the entire value. I just copy the entire value here. Automatically that copies all the cells along with the table option. The table is actually extended beyond. Okay, and it also says that these numbers are stored as ignore error. It's not available, so let me say it is light. Chapters is chapter 1, 2. Okay, so I'm not going to fill in all these details. What is important here in this step is to use data tab to convert one single column separated by values into multiple columns. So that we have achieved. Sometimes you get values like this. So instead of chapters on the column and page numbers on the second column, you might get something like this: chapters on the row, first row, and then the chapters numbers in the second row. We want this to be transposed. So this can be actually transposed. So chapter number and then the pages, right? Chapter number and then the pages. Control yes. It will take you to the text column. So let me use a Excel, dummy Excel. Okay, so I have this introduction, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, 4, and 5, below which there are page numbers. Okay, so I want to copy this and then paste it as transpose. Okay, so beautifully separated that into chapters and then the page numbers are here. It's going to show up differently because earlier we have used formulas, we are applying numbers directly. That's why it shows up a potential error, inconsistent formula. Do you want to ignore it or help? Okay, so this way you can create your plan. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and reserve the other two parts, creating the dashboard and then the billing method for the January session. I think we have created a MS Word session for January. We can use that for our MS Excel. I'm going to stop here and answer your questions. Okay.
Sir, after converting the values which were not in the table format, you converted it into the table format first, right?
Yes.
And then how did you paste those values in book 2 in this planner tab?
So this one you are talking about?
No, the previous one. Yeah, this one.
This again it's a bit roundabout because the columns are not exactly the same as in my original planner. So I simply copy pasted the first reference column for me is this, right?
ISBN.
Yes,
Right.
okay. So what I have done is I pasted the ISBN. Okay, let me delete this and show you how it works. I have this ISBN here, 6 chapters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Control enter. Okay, it doesn't work. Control enter. What happened? Okay, so I simply entered. In all the 6 columns, it is pasted. And,
So you did control enter instead of control
no,
paste.
it's simply see. I see there is a difference. I'm sorry for the confusion. One is I select the tables and then type in something. Okay, if I wanted to apply the same thing to all the cells, I press control enter. Alternatively, I have selected this and then I wanted to paste this in these cells, I simply enter. Okay, so the level is not available. So that's why it says NA error. NA error means the value that you are looking up in the table is not available. Okay. So the next one is number of pages. You can use a VLOOKUP formula, but again, because they are all already available in the standard format, I don't want these pages to be there. So I will simply replace pages. Okay, I will copy paste it. So the end date is again available, not available there. The due dates are available. So I will paste the due dates. Missing data, I will supply it separately. That's it. It's not as straightforward as, see, the point is your source data should have all the information that you need to use your planner. When they're available, you will use them and then supply it manually. That's the only logic, right?
But
I think I
the
have
table,
answered it.
the conversion of text to table when there are delimiters, that will be very useful for me. I didn't know we could do that.
Oh,
We used
okay.
to just copy paste
In
everything.
fact, the data tab, right? This menu item has a lot of wonderful things. Data validation, removing duplicates. Removing duplicates and data validation are going to be very useful when we look up billing, because by mistake you should not include something twice. There is a good possibility that the customer thinks badly about that. So we will use remove duplicates and identifying duplicate things, everything in during our dashboard and billing discussions.
Thank you, sir.
Murugaji, if I want to pull that data, this data into the into the spreadsheet that you are working on. So you said that we can apply VLOOKUP. Can you give an example, please?
I'm sorry, I may have missed your question. We have used VLOOKUP here. Are you looking up a different explanation?
No. I saw lookup there, but we look up there, but I just wanted to see how we will apply it here in the case of the table that we have prepared from the delimiters.
Okay, so say for this case, what you have to do is you have to ensure that I'll do it a bit differently. Okay, so I will copy these columns that I wanted to use in my table. Okay, so So let me go with a new sheet. So this is the headers that are available in my planner. Okay. So the delimited value that I'm going to apply is this.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll simply clean that up first. Go to data, text columns, delimited. Come on, finish. Okay, so ISBN, chapters. So chapter numbers, I'm going to say, because it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I want chapter 1, chapter 2. So I will simply say chapter 1, chapter 2, oops, and then drag it to the preferred extent. And then pages, I don't want to use the pages, that word pages here. So what I would do is I would say left of this with 2 digits. So that will show up only this. And finally, in date, I don't have the in date. So in date is from the mail, I can see that today is the in date. So today, and due date is given here. Okay. So name of the author, from the email, I can see that, let's say it is. Now that I have created the table according to the original planner, all I have to do is select this, paste it here. Oops. Okay. Serial number. You can see that Excel picks up other things by default. It looks for the VLOOKUP formula, but we haven't applied the VLOOKUP we used VLOOKUP formula because we took it from a different reference table, but here it's not needed because it is not provided here. Maybe I need to provide that as a light these cases. So when I copy paste itself, it will be copied. So word count is not available. Total pages is available. So either way, I'm the final number that I need is page number. So happy with.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay. Thank you.
again, Excel will think that I am doing some mistake because it is not conforming to the pattern that I have done already. So that's why there are so many, triangles.
Yes. At some places there would be formulas, and at some other places we have just
Inconsistencies,
copy-pasted.
possibilities.
Yes.
And Excel is so wonderful in that manner. It could be a false positive, but then it tells you, hey, something is different from what you have done so far. So better you look up and check.
Thank you.
Okay. So any more questions? See, the point is.
My question was related to, I had mentioned this in chat box also.
Okay.
Do you conduct courses on Excel also?
Not yet.
I would be part of that if you can ever plan to do that. I'm very bad at Excel.
Okay, sure. I'll be happy to. So you can expect some announcement by January. There are a few things that are lined up, and I'm trying to make it all possible in January and possibly February. So you can expect some announcement in January about this.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Thank you.
To learn it from a person with whom you have been learning so long. So that would be wonderful rather than enrolling for some online course.
Yeah, I was about to talk about that. See, there are wonderful sources available online, especially for Excel. Okay, Excel and Excel VBA, hundreds of sources available. I have mentioned this earlier also.
But that is not interesting enough. I have enrolled for several courses, but that does not captivate attention.
See, the point is when these people or when these organizations offer courses, it becomes they are trying to cover a large audience, so they go by the regular method of home, formulas or tables or pivot tables. See, actually, pivot tables are wonderful things that you can use for dashboard and building. We are going to talk about that later. But there are shortcomings. So how to understand the shortcomings, how to overcome them? Can you overcome them in the pivot tables itself? So there are a lot of things. So when these when these people offer courses, they are more generic in nature and then try to address a wide range of audience. It becomes difficult. That becomes a more like a chapter in our book, in our textbook.
Yeah.
The other. But
for a pro learning and updating, it would be wonderful. But for new persons, it's going to be difficult who are just at the basic level. So
yeah, that's
that
exactly.
would be helpful. Yes.
But if anyone who has inclination for self-learning, my recommendation, a strong recommendation, would be this site. I have said this earlier. I will say this any number of times. Okay, chandu.org. I mean, this is one site where I got almost all answers. It's much better than MSDN, Microsoft's network.
All right.
Please repeat the name. What was the name
Chandu.org
that you mentioned?
Okay, I'll use the chat box to share it. Okay. So there is MSDN. It is Microsoft Developer Network or something, and it offers documentation for every Microsoft product. Again, these documentations from companies are always dry. They are to the point, and then they simply say, this is how it will work. That's it. They don't go beyond. But the one site that I strongly recommend is chandu.org.
Sir, I have one question. So if in one data there is some discrepancy, so how to look for the discrepancy if we have to look for the discrepancy in a data?
When you say discrepancy, you have to define it first. That way it will be easy to look at. For example, you want to check anomalies. For example, you have a delivery date before the end date. So today is the date you received the project. So the delivery date cannot be earlier. So you might have, because we are all key in things, and then it happens really fast in a work environment. And then a small change in the keystroke could lead to unexpected changes, right? So you can check for these any dates that are earlier than in date. Number one, you can find if there are any duplication of data. Number two, you can possibly say substantive editing. I wanted to assign only to Dhoni and Mary Kom. I don't want any others to work on substantive work. So you can put in a data validation. So if you write, let's say somebody else, Sindhu there, it will say, no, I cannot accept it. You can set validation by building rules. If the level of editing substantive, the only accepted values in the editor column can be Sachin and Mary Kom. Any other names, it will not accept, or by forcibly you enter the name, it will keep on saying that you are making an error. It's an error. You have to change it. So it keep on throwing that on your face. So it all depends on how you define discrepancy. That's my point. So it's a very wide term. When you define it, Excel has options to identify and then tell.
Thank you, sir.
Have I somehow answered that question? All right. So in the January session, let's now that we have created this table of planning and other things, in January it's going to be a much quicker session, a shorter session, where we will generate a dashboard for the manager, okay, and then create an invoicing. So we can use our imagination to suit our needs. So these two, it will possibly around 45 minutes maximum, 1 hour next week. In our next session. So I hope there are no further questions right now. Over to you, Vivek.
Yeah, thanks Murugraj for a very interesting session, teaching us so many new things.
Vivek, please unmute. You are already unmute, but I couldn't hear. Maybe.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Murugraj for a very interesting and enriching session, and we learned a lot of new things, and we will continue with that in the new year. And we will be starting 2021 with a travel session by ICF members Anthony Day and her husband Diganta Biswas. And on the first Sunday, we will have a session by Madhavan, who is present in the audience. So if he can please unmute himself and give us a brief intro about himself and about the session, that would be helpful. Maybe just a couple of minutes.
Hi everyone.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
So the next Sunday's session, the first session of 2021, would be on content the changing contours. In the promo piece, I have given what are the various elements that we'll be talking about. Essentially, our print technology, which has lasted 500 years, is now undergoing what Clayton Christensen calls digital disruptions. So, how do we as editors view this and change so that we stay relevant? So more on this next Sunday. I'm a publisher, a practicing publisher. I have started the digital transformation for our company in small ways. It's not that print is going to fade away. It's going to exist, but it will not be as preeminent as before. And what Michael Shatskin, who's a wonderful commentator, says is the change to digital is inexorable. It is going to happen. That's what he says. And so look forward to meeting you all on next Sunday.
Yeah, thanks, Madhavan. Yeah, thanks, Madhavan, and wishing everyone a happy new year in advance. And see you on 2nd of January, Saturday, 4 p.m. for our travel series session.